Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be drawing two of my original characters, Bill and Leonard. I'll talk about them throughout this video and I'll also explain a little bit of my drawing process. So let's get into it. So first up we have the sketch. I always outline the canvas and then make it smaller so that I can work on the thumbnail thing smaller. I work best when it's tiny. I had a bit of trouble drawing Leonard since he's a dog, and I am not good at drawing dogs. Yet. So I kept trying to fix the pose, get it to look nice, but it just wasn't working. At first I wanted Bill and Leonard to be right next to each other, centered on the canvas, but that wasn't working, so I moved them to be on the outer thirds of the canvas. Since I couldn't figure out how to draw Leonard, I just imported a picture from Pinterest and loosely traced over it. I say loosely, but it's, I'd say, a good sketch. After adjusting the character's positioning and a bit of other stuff, I make the canvas larger and start working on the cleanup sketch. This includes fine-tuning the facial features, anatomy, and generally just making it cleaner so that it's easier to add line art. So a bit about Bill. He is the protagonist of the story I'm working on, which is called Bill's Adventures. Bill is kind and gentle, yet reckless and stubborn, and those last two traits get him in quite a bit of trouble. Bill lives in a medieval fantasy world, and his goal in the story is to find out what happened to his younger twin brother Will, who ran away when they were young. And yes, Bill and Will are both named William. Their parents weren't able to tell them apart when they were little, so they're just like, okay, guess I'll give you the same name. I mean, it worked, I guess. I first created Bill's Adventures as a series of Stickman comics in 5th grade. I grew so attached to Bill that whenever I was like, oh man, these comics aren't that great, I decided that I wanted to redo it as a book series. I haven't gotten very far. I have tried so many times to write the book, but all I have is just Google Docs full of ideas. They're good ideas though, so yeah, that's good. So now I'm adding Bill's hair and clothing. Not much to say about that. It's very medieval inspired though. So now I'm adding a bit of the foreground just to get what it looks like, and it's gone now. Okay. So now I'm working on the line art. I use a 2.3 brush and I set it to force fade so that it gets a little bit of line variation. I also go in and manually add some variation, usually around curves or intersecting lines, just to make it look nicer. There's not a lot to say about line art, so I'll go ahead and skip to the background. One thing I almost forgot to mention is that for the strings on Bill's arm guards and shirt, I put those on a different layer. This just makes the shirt and armbands easier to shade since I won't have to go in and select everything. So for the background, Bill and Leonard are in a field of probably snapdragons. I feel like that's what they are. I have no idea. I was going off of a picture I saw on Pinterest. I duplicated the layers, changed their color to a more purple, and then put them behind the original layer in order to make it seem like there's more and that they're in shadows. I used a smaller brush size for the ones in the back to give the picture a sense of depth. With the basic background done, I began filling in the base colors for Bill and Leonard. I turned the background transparent to help me see where I may have missed filling in colors. It especially helps with white since it's very hard to tell what you've filled in and what you haven't when you're using white on a white canvas. I added some more flowers in front of Bill and Leonard to help the picture feel more cohesive, and then I began working on background mountains and the sky. Then I colored in the butterflies on Bill's hand and Leonard's nose. After that was finished, I added shading and highlights to Bill. For shading, I usually use the blurring brush as well as the blur tool. I also use the airbrush on the edges of the arms, legs, and torso. Shading went smoothly for the most part, but I did have a bit of trouble shading Bill's shirt. I couldn't figure out where the wrinkles were going, where to put them, but I eventually got something that I liked. I also added faint cloth textures on Bill's tunic and pants. I found that it really helps bring everything together and makes it look a lot better. I'm fairly proud of how the shading on the metal parts of Bill's boots looks, except they end up being covered by the flowers in the end, so you can't really see them. So here I'm adding highlights. I used to not add highlights, I would only do shading, but I found that pictures look a lot better when there's both shading and highlights. It's really hard to see because it's such a light color, but here I'm adding shading to Leonard. So a bit about Leonard. He's the typical sassy animal companion. Bill saved Leonard from a herd of angry unicorns when he was young, so he swore to protect Bill with his life as thanks. And yeah, unicorns are very, very hostile in Bill's adventures because, they have horns. That's a weapon, so yeah. But anyway, Leonard accompanies Bill in order to keep him safe and also keep him from doing stupid things because, as I mentioned earlier, while Bill is a very nice person, he is not the best at self-control. Leonard, on the other hand, even though he is a very, very sassy boy, he's good at keeping Bill in check, which Bill would probably be dead without him. Leonard is a type of creature called a Yuki Henka, coming from the Japanese words Yuki, meaning snow, and Henka, meaning change. At least I think that's what it means. I just use Google Translate, so I'm hoping that's what it means. Yuki Henka's normal forms are that of a white dog such as a Burger Blanc Suisse or Swiss Mountain Dog, and they have the ability to change into any creature that they have seen, other than humans or humanoid races. They can also speak, and they can understand any language. Leonard has always been Bill's companion, even during the Stickman comic era of Bill's adventures. And while he has always had the ability to change into different things, he originally was mainly Shield Leonard, which is just a shield with a dog face and tail. My 5th grader self was very strange. So here I'm adding a darker color where the flowers would be in shadow, and I'm adding a lighter color where the sun would be hitting them. Then I started shading the mountains, adding a darker color to the right just like with the flowers, and then adding a lighter color on the left. The brush I used is imported from Pinterest, and even though it's a really, really good brush, I love using it. It makes my iPad lag a lot. Then I added some white with an airbrush tool in order to make it look like there's a bit of mist at the bottom of the mountains. Once the mountains were finished, I began drawing in butterflies, which I would copy and paste around the picture. I added Gaussian blur to the butterflies once I added them, so they would bring the focus back to Bill and Leonard. After fine-tuning the butterflies, I added a border, some light beams, and a bit of shadow at the bottom right of the picture, and then it was finished. I'm really proud of how this picture turned out. I don't really draw backgrounds that often. I try to avoid them because they are hard to draw, but I really like how this looks, and I'm proud of myself for trying. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps me out. And let me know if you want me to draw more of my original characters. I'd love to share them with you. But yeah, that's it for now. Bye!